So why would Prophet Muhammad have have more than 4 wives if you're only allowed to have 4?
Yeah, great question. So again, first of all, we have to realize where are these rulings coming from, right? They're coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And you have to realize that our wisdom, our knowledge is very limited compared to the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for example, I will share with you a few points that you may not have thought before, right? Or your friends may not have thought before. So you can share those points with them. So that will show them, look, there were certain angles that I was not thinking of. I was only thinking of it from one angle, right? Now, me showing you 4 other angles and showing that here is why it makes sense doesn't mean that these are the only reasons, right? So maybe if you go to talk to some wiser scholar, some well-read person, he may give you 5 other reasons. And then if you talk to someone else, they may give you another 10 reasons, right? So just I'm going to give you a few reasons doesn't mean that these are only reasons, right? But the point is that these are not really deterrent from someone to accept Islam. Because what we have seen is that there's a overwhelming majority of evidence that Islam is from Allah, from the Creator, right? And then if there are certain small things that you don't understand, you wouldn't, take them and not use the compelling evidence and take the right path. Because at the end of the day, it's like this, look, you are driving on a highway, right? I'm saying, look, if you take this exit, this exit, this exit, you're going to get to paradise. If you don't take those exits, you are not getting closer to God, you're getting away from the mercy of God, away from paradise, right? These are the path to the love of God, right? Now, on that path, there may be certain things that you don't agree with. But overwhelmingly, you're very clear that, look, this path is much better than the path that I was on. And that path can be worshipping idols, that path can be worshipping Jesus, a human being, or worshipping monkeys or cows, whatever. So you can clearly see that at the very least, this path is better than what I'm on. What would you do? You go for the better one, right? And if you see something better, then yeah, you move. But right, at the very least, as a smart man, as a man of integrity, you should take the path that is better. Now coming back to the question, look, always remember that things are not done from a perspective of this world and happiness in this world. You have a greater goal, such as to reach paradise. Another goal is to make it easy for people to be aware of Islam and to save their religion and save their relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, there are certain things that were different for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Certain things that were much harder for him, and they were not an obligation on the believers. So his commitment to Allah, his worship of Allah, to Allah was at a much higher level, right? The amount of time he starved and not ate, right? The amount of prayers he would pray, right? And the amount of even the sickness, right? So if you and I get a fever and he gets a fever, way different, right? So the amount of suffering he had to do was also way different from the people that a regular person would, right? Now from another angle, a lot of his marriages were also facilitation for the propagation of Islam, right? So whether it be in terms of having relationship with different tribes, having harmony with different tribes, or the propagation of the knowledge of Islam, right? What his wife observed and how they communicated and how they transmitted those knowledge of the household and so on and so forth. So there are many reasons like that, right? So because of what one can see that it made sense for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to not limit those wives, right? And but at the same time, there's another verse in the Quran where actually a limit was also put on him that, look, whatever you have now, these are going to be your wives, and you don't go for any further, right? So there was, in some sense, there were restrictions around him from different angles, including worship, including his own health, so on and so forth. And at the same time, there was also a marital restriction that was placed on him by Allah, that's it, you cannot have more than these wives, right? So again, there was, and then obviously if one look at the history and who the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam married, it wasn't something that was just done for the sake of marriage and relationships and for just having more women, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was like very, sensibly done, right? It wasn't like just following the desires and so on and so forth. And Allah knows best, right? I mean, yeah, there's an exception, right? But then that's the thing, right? Are we only going to do things when they're in our favor, right? Or are we looking at a more compelling evidence of who Allah is and who the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is? Yeah. So, as I said, in summary, if you talk to other people, I'm sure there will be other points of wisdom, but that's what I can recall at the same time, right? A very important thing to always remember is that to take the path that is better than what you have. So, inshallah, we'll end this question at this, inshallah.